It's a flippin' rabbit hole. It's like the challenge is if you get access to the people ask like why it matters. I posted a tweet a little while ago complaining that we didn't have a PlayStation 5 before launch. And people were like, "Oh, you spoiled piece of crap. Why should you get a free PlayStation when other people have to wait for it and pay for it? You should just wait your turn." It's like how do I explain this in a way that you can understand? I don't want a PlayStation. I don't care. I haven't owned a PlayStation since the PlayStation 2. It means nothing to me. Like if I wanted to play a PlayStation game, I would borrow a PlayStation and play it, and then I would not need to own it anymore. Like it's not the kind of thing that I use regularly. The reason that I want a PlayStation is so I can do my job, so I can do it properly, so that instead of being put in a position where I am forced to choose between getting way less viewership on the content or phoning in the content and rushing it, I don't have to do that. If I have access to the hardware early, in the case of the PlayStation, would have happily bought it early. If I have access to the hardware early, then what it does is it makes it so that I can be well informed on the topic, being able to talk to Sony like, hey, what are you expecting to be good about this? What are you expecting to be not so good about this? Here's what we found. Does this jive with what you're seeing in your lab? That kind of dialogue is really important to make sure that we've got the correct story for you guys. The other thing is, well, actually, yeah, that's like really, really important. Right. The other thing is that we produce video, not written articles. So we can't just like bang
Often
something out.
forgotten.
Yes, people often forget this. We can't just bang something out in an afternoon. It's actually not an option. We have to test it. We have to script. We have to film it. We have to edit it. We have to export it. We have to upload it. We have to make sure it actually all still works. I mean, we've seen it before. You upload a perfectly good video file to YouTube and it's broken when you go to try and watch it. So that's why it is so important. So what happens then is if you don't have access to something early, you're put in the position where either you need to release a piece of content that's not as good, or you need to release one that's really good. So Anthony is digging into like everything. We're talking, there's complaints about multi-monitor support. Some of reviews have covered this pretty well. Others didn't touch on it at all. But one of the limitations of the M1 Silicon Max is that you can only have one display connected to one of the Thunderbolt ports. The other one needs to be on HDMI. That's something that's not a game breaker by any stretch of the imagination, but it's something people might not realize, and it's definitely good to know. What are some of the other little like kind of idiosyncrasies that we've noticed and that are looking into? I don't know.
While you think about that, something I would say as well is like if you want reviewers to get things early as well.
Of course.
Because if reviewers get it early, they will have more time to hopefully be able to make a better video. And if reviewers can make a better video and you have more reviewers to cross-reference with, and hopefully you are able to trust the mass amount of reviewers that you are able to reference, you should be able to make a much more informed purchasing decision, which should hopefully be able to either save you money or make you more confident and happy with the purchase that you do make. It is directly beneficial, and it should help. I would think the majority of the audience watching would be against pre-orders in general. This helps the whole idea of wanting to have something early but not wanting to pre-order it, because you can go into the purchase more confidently that way.
So, I don't know. It's one of those things where, to me, it's very confusing when people take the position that we should just take the manufacturer's word for it, because how many times has that not worked out well for us? The funny thing to me, and I'll probably get into this in more depth and certainly more eloquently in the Mac Mini review, which I think is going to be the one that comes first. The funny thing to me is that Apple didn't have to run their presentation that way. Like, I still stand behind everything I said about it. It was a really horrible way for them to launch this product. For the people that just take everything Apple says at face value, I guess it was fine because they loved it. But for the people that see unlabeled graphs and vague claims about performance, it was really discouraging. Because to me, my general experience is that the more confident a manufacturer is, the more willing they are to put hard numbers behind their product. When they're not confident, that's when they start bringing up unlabeled graphs and just kind of being like, yeah, It's way faster. It's 6 times. Because, I don't know, it's funny to me. With everything we've seen from M1 so far, we would have liked it just fine if they had just said what it actually was. If they had just come in and said, it's got anywhere from half to 80% of the performance on non-native x86 apps, I would have been blown away. I would have been like, that is so cool. Here, if they'd have been like, here's some apps, and here it is, tested, on a native binary versus an x86 one, and it's like, yeah, anywhere from 50 to 80%. I'd have been like, wow. But then when they come out and they're like, 6x the performance, my BS detector goes off hard, very hard. And it was so unnecessary. All they had to say was, yeah, it's got performance that is competitive with or better than basically any other laptop processor on the market. Seems like they kind of ignored AMD in a big way, which I thought was interesting, given that AMD has better low power mobile processors than Intel right now. Assuming you can find any to buy, which is...
Even if they do, they're not super mainstream yet.
Yeah, well, that's because they can't make enough.
But AMD right now, AMD gaming processors are popping off in the enthusiast space, and you are seeing a lot more like pre-build options with them and whatnot. But still, if you ask some random person that has no interest in computers, if you ask them what AMD is, they probably have no idea. If you ask them what Intel is, they almost certainly know. By the way, I'm getting feedback on multiple platforms right now that I am notably too loud.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I will fix that for you. Thank you very much, multiple platforms. There you go. Got that all fixed up for you. All right. So, I guess I don't really have anything else to say. A lot of people are expecting me to come out and say I was wrong. So far, I haven't been wrong about anything yet. The one bold prediction that I made was that Apple will drop support for these M1 processor Macs sooner than they will for the M2 or whatever they end up calling it, sooner than they will for their M2 Macs. And not just by a year, not by a product release cycle, but they will not support them for as long a period of time. I could end up being wrong about that, but we're going to have to wait anywhere from 3 to 5 to 6 years in order to find out. Everything else that I said, I stand behind. I have been attacked on many sides for calling the new M1 Max, and what did I call them? An iPad without a screen, an iPad without a touch screen, and then an iPad with a touch bar or something like that. And they're like, you don't understand. And I'm looking at it going, no, you don't understand. What's wrong with the iPad? Is the iPad bad?
Are
these people just projecting their internal, hate of the iPad on me, on my statement? What's wrong with the iPad? We've come out and said the only thing missing on the iPad is macOS. In positive reviews of the iPad. Our most recent iPad videos, the titles are, and these actually capture the sentiment of the video, I think, pretty well in this case. Sometimes our titles are a little like, hey, we really need you to click on this. So I search for iPad
We need to take this one home, boys.
Here's our last 2 videos about the iPad. Fine, the iPad Pro is a laptop. Magic Keyboard review from 5 months ago. And also from 5 months ago, we edited this video on an iPad Pro. Those are our last videos about the iPad. Basically saying the iPad Pro is a laptop, and by the way, it's powerful. So when I call the Mac Mini an iPad without a screen, it's not a sick burn. It's just a joke. Chill the f*** out. What is wrong with you? You get so defensive. People were so mad that I, quote unquote, used Google Maps 3D view as a benchmark in my unboxing of the MacBook Air, the new MacBook Air. It was not a review. So many people called it a review. Are you that disconnected? You don't even understand what a review is anymore? Somebody opening a box is not a review. Lou from Unbox Therapy does not do reviews. It's an unboxing, it's impressions, it's thoughts, it's not a review. And also, what the hell is wrong with Google Maps 3D view as a way of evaluating quickly and easily if a thin and light is gonna chug in basic 3D tasks? I've seen it. If you have crappy onboard graphics, it sucks. The pop-in takes forever and it's slow to render.